Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Tylearn, and today I am continuing the story of what if Naruto had Adam's eyes. In the last part, you would have thought I was going to give you a recap. Now go check out part 1 down in the description and then come back. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, now that, those people left and the people who have watched part 1 are here, let's just get straight into part 2. We start our story off with time passing a little bit after the Land of Waves arc. Basically, it's around the time where the Chunin exams would then begin to actually, begin. And this would then lead into Naruto being pushed by Minato and Kakashi to the limit. Because, he wants to try and become a Chunin, and this is one step closer to becoming a legendary ninja throughout the land. His main goal is to basically win the Chunin exams pretty easily and basically just remain on top, no matter what. No one's gonna stop him, not even Sasuke. With that being said, we would then get introduced to the Sand Trio, who actually takes interest into not only Sasuke, but Naruto. And by the Sand Trio, I mean just specifically Gaara, who would say that they both look interesting and he looks forward to seeing them in the Chunin exams. And this would then lead into Naruto saying to Gaara that he's going to defeat him, and then Sasuke interrupting and then saying, "No, I'm going to defeat him." And then they would begin to bicker until Kakashi would then finally arrive, and he would give Team 7 their little test to see if they're ready for the Chunin exams. And they would pass this test pretty easily, leading into the Chunin exams. They would check in, and like in canon, Rock Lee would actually arrive, and before Team 7 could check in, Rock Lee would like to fight not only Sasuke, but Naruto. The reason why is because Rock Lee wants to show off that hard work beats, natural raw talent, because Naruto is the son of the 4th Hokage, and Sasuke having the blood of the naturally talented Uchiha. Anyways, he would then challenge them to a 2v1, which would then lead into Naruto and Sasuke actually working together, with Sasuke revealing his 2-Tomo Sharingan, and Naruto revealing actual good control over the Rasengan. They would both rush at Rock Lee at high speed, with Sasuke being easily reacted to by Rock Lee, while Naruto would actually be a little bit more difficult for Rock Lee, but he would barely manage to get out of the way. At that point, Naruto would then turn around, and he would see Rock Lee to be somewhat interesting. Naruto at this point would then try and launch a bunch of shadow clones, which nearly catch Rock Lee due to this Naruto having superior speed in comparison to his canon self. But this just isn't enough because of Rock Lee's just naturally higher speed gap, and Rock Lee would then proceed to use the first gate on Naruto and trying to finish him off with the primary Lotus. But Sasuke would try and intervene, but even then, Rock Lee's just too fast for Sasuke, and then my guy would intercept and punch Rock Lee in the mouth and apologize for Rock Lee's act. Naruto is literally terrified right now, as he was about to get slammed into the ground by this bowl-cut nobody, bushy-brow bum. But nonetheless, Rock Lee would apologize, and Naruto would say that they'll finish it off in the Chunin exams. Anyways, they would check in, and we would then move on to the first round of the Chunin exams, which is the exam. And honestly, I don't see Naruto really changing in this scenario, like how he operates, how he did in canon, because of the challenge. And I think, like in canon, Naruto would basically say how he'll never give up, and this was basically just a test all along, and Naruto would pass without even answering a single question. We would then move on from the first exam to the Forest to Death, and like in canon, they would eventually encounter Orochimaru disguising as that female. And this would be a weird situation, because when Anko would basically try and report this and get this out once she realizes Orochimaru's in there, Minato is going to lose it. So I'll just say here, Anko, when she realizes Orochimaru is actually in the Forest of Death, she would then immediately head out to the Hokage office and summon Minato, who would use his body flicker and flying Raijin to basically move on over to the Forest of Death, move on over to where Orochimaru is, and basically teleport seemingly right then and there. He teleported right as Orochimaru was about to bite Sasuke's neck, so he came in the nick of time and actually intervened and stopped Sasuke from getting the curse mark. Orochimaru would smirk, and Minato would basically turn around and make sure Team 7's alright, with Naruto just getting done using Kurama to stop Orochimaru's big-ass snake. Naruto would collapse due to exhaustion, and this would basically enrage Minato. Minato is not going to condone this anymore, and this would then lead into Minato throwing a kunai at Orochimaru, which Orochimaru would easily dodge. But Minato would basically teleport as the kunai is passing by, and he would basically sneak attack Orochimaru, hitting him in the face with the point blank Rasengan. Orochimaru would turn around in shock, allowing Minato to basically slam a Rasengan in his face and send him flying. Orochimaru would just be getting slammed, and he wouldn't even escape in this timeline. Minato would make sure of it, and basically beat Orochimaru to the point to where his regen is very slow now, and Orochimaru is basically barely recovering, but he's still alive. And this would then lead into Orochimaru putting him into a jail cell where he's guarded by the highest of level elite Jonin and Anbu, and basically a prison that is built for someone like Orochimaru and other S-class ninja. He's not gonna get out. With that being said, this would mean that the whole Konoha Crush plan wouldn't even happen due to Orochimaru actually getting imprisoned and bopped by Minato. And with that being said, we can actually have a normal Chunin exams being progressed. Team 7, I'll just say, makes it out alive, and they don't encounter the Sound Trio, and they would probably just find the Heaven and Earth Scrolls. We'll just say they find it, similar to in canon. And with that being said, we can move on to the third round, which would lead into Sasuke bopping Kabuto's men, along with Naruto absolutely pummeling Kiba into the ground. However, when he sees Neji brutally beating on Hinata, he promises to defeat Neji in battle. And Neji would say how his eyes of the Lord don't even compare to the eyes of the Hyuga. At that point, this would then lead into the rest of the Chunin exams matches playing out similar to in canon, and Naruto going on a training arc, but not with only Jiraiya. I think here, instead of training with Ibisi for a little bit, Minato would actually introduce Naruto to Jiraiya and basically establish to Naruto of who Jiraiya is, and this would then lead into Minato and Jiraiya and Naruto basically going out for a month and training with each other, with Naruto not only learning basically everything that he learned during the 1 month gap with Jiraiya, but also a little bit of control over the eyes of the Lord. The thing is, Naruto needs to have much more chakra control. He can't just, rage out and hope the eyes would summon. He needs to be cool, calm, and have control, which Naruto would basically learn over the 1 month gap. Techniques that would actually allow him to calm down and actually control his chakra better, like meditation, which is something that Jiraiya actually does. Anyways, with this training, I think Naruto just barely can control the eyes of the Lord for at least a minute. And Naruto, before going into the Neji fight, would say to Jiraiya and Minato that a minute is all he needs. He would proceed to go down into the arena and he would face Neji head on. This time, when Neji reveals his Hyuga techniques, Naruto is able to swiftly dodge with the QB Amp, which he actually summons right off the get-go, and this would then lead into Naruto summoning the Eyes of the Lord. Naruto would basically copy Neji's entire style, and he would face Neji head-on with his own Hyuga combat. Neji would say to himself how it's almost like he's fighting a mirror image of himself, but this image that he's fighting is even better than him. And this would then lead into Naruto outskilling Neji with the Hyuga style, and Naruto then trapping Neji with the crystal ice mirrors. Yeah, he basically used a similar technique that he copied back in the Land of Waves, which was Haku's, and surrounding Neji in this ice mirror dome. Naruto would then say how it's over, and he would strike at Neji from all the mirrors, and basically just blindsiding Neji, but he's blindsiding him with his own Hyuga style, so every time that Neji's trying to hit Naruto, Naruto's just blitzing and slowly negging all of Neji's chakra points, which would then wear Neji down, Naruto removing the mirrors, and finishing Neji off with one final drop kick. And he would then say how that was for Hinata, and Naruto would then be declared the winner. Now, I'm going to say here Sasuke arrives late still, because Kakashi and Sasuke had to do some last minute prep time for the Chunin exams. And luckily they make it in time, and Sasuke vs. Gaara would then commence, with Sasuke making Gaara bleed and making Gaara go slowly insane, which would then lead into Rasa personally stepping in and actually trying to stop Gaara himself. This would even lead into Gaara spurging out, but before he could try and hurt anyone, Minato would quickly teleport him and Rasa over to a nearby forest, not too far away from the Chunin exams, but far enough for them to, settle this. And we would then get Rasa subduing Gaara and apologizing for his actions. Now, with this, we would get Gaara not being friends with Naruto and Sasuke, really, but just kind of I guess a weirdo, but The only thing I guess happens that's different here is that Ross is alive and Ross is embarrassed by the end of the Chunin exams. The Gaara incident did escalate, but it didn't escalate to the point to where the Chunin exams has to be cancelled, so we would still get the Chunin exams. And I think here the last matches would be Rock Lee versus Sasuke, and whoever wins that would face off against Naruto. And I'm going to say here, throughout most debates that I see amongst this topic, like with Sasuke versus Rock Lee, it usually ends with Sasuke having the better scaling to Gaara. So I'm basically going to say that Sasuke would probably defeat Rock Lee before he even gets to the 5th gate. So a lot of people aren't, too contentious on this. But regardless, we would get Naruto versus Sasuke, with Sasuke using the Sharingan and Naruto promising not to use the Eyes of the Lord because he doesn't want to use that against Sasuke. Sasuke would say that he's probably going to need it, and this would then lead into Naruto versus Sasuke scrapping, similar to how they did on the rooftop fight, but the implications are obviously a lot different. Naruto and Sasuke are actually having a lot more fun in this match, and it's a lot more positive than negative, instead of Sasuke, being edgy and forcing Naruto to fight him. However, this fight would then come to a conclusion once we see Naruto versus Sasuke rushing at each other with the Chidori and the Rasengan, but Minato would intervene along with Kakashi, saying that if they would have clashed, they both would have probably lost their arms. Naruto and Sasuke have basically worn each other down, and after that Chidori and Rasengan, rush at each other, they have already wasted an extreme amount of chakra, and they're at their last leg. The last punch would then be decided with Naruto and Sasuke rushing at each other, and Sasuke connecting the final hit. But it would then be revealed to us that he actually hit a shadow clone. Then, from right under Sasuke, the same technique he tried to use on Kakashi, he used on Sasuke. And with the element of surprise, Sasuke is then buried into the ground, and Naruto has won. Naruto would be declared the winner, and he would be promoted to the Chunin title. And with this, the rest of the arcs in part 1 don't really happen. The Tsunade retrieval arc doesn't happen, meaning Itachi never really interacts with Naruto, which means Sasuke never knows that Itachi's even there in the first place, which means Itachi and Kisame are only shown throughout the Kakashi, Kurenai, Guy, and Asuma fight, and they would just dip from there. And since Orochimaru's in prison, there's no way for Sasuke to go down this path of evil, which means Sasuke is actually going to be staying in the Leaf Village and training with the likes of Kakashi. While Naruto would stay inside the village and train with Jiraiya from time to time, but Jiraiya just likes exploring a lot more, so I would figure that he would actually not really train Naruto as much, and Minato would actually take the role of actually training Naruto. We could say Jiraiya stays in the village during the 2.5-year gap, but I'll just say Jiraiya goes off after training with Naruto for a little bit, and Naruto mainly trains with Minato and learns the ways of the Eyes of the Lord, and it actually works to the point to where he's actually able to use it in combat similar to how Minato uses it. Since Naruto got promoted to Chunin, he basically had a lot more responsibility, and especially with the Akatsuki thing going down, Naruto has a lot of unhidden potential that he needs to tap into quickly, or else it'll be too late. And with that being said, this is where I'm going to be leaving part 2 off, and in part 3, we'll be continuing the saga with Shippuden. Now, with that being said, if you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because the majority of my fans who watch the videos, or the people who watch the videos, aren't subscribed, which is kind of wild, so just subscribe already, and be sure to like the video, share with your friends. Comment down below what other what ifs you guys would like me to do, and with that being said, I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. Peace out, guys. Stay safe.